Hello, BookTube. This is Aaron from Aaron Read a Book or Aaron Read a Book. Doing Friday reads. Not done one in ages. It feels really long to me because I've been on holiday in France and also to Brighton and then also dog sitting at my friend's house. So I feel like I've been away for ages and now I'm back. And therefore I have got 4 books to talk about. Although I didn't read in France really, so I was reading the Burgundians a bit on the plane and stuff. But I tend to have very active holidays where I'm tramping around museums and cities and things, so I didn't bother reading. I also haven't bought any books apart from one because I had very limited bag space, and when I was in Lyon especially there were some good looking secondhand bookshops, but I didn't go in, although it would have been mainly French stuff anyway. But I did get my 2025 project, my reading new releases project book through the post, which is Anne Tyler, 3 Days in June. I got this for Shorty September because it's only small. I've not read Anne Tyler before, but she sounds kind of up my street, so I believe this is about a single day and it's preparation for a wedding, or maybe it is the wedding of the main character's daughter. And for Shorty September, it doesn't really fit into any of the prompts apart from the read it in one day prompt, and because it's a book about one day, it kind of makes sense. So I'm going to have to put aside a day and try and read all of this in one day. It is 160 odd pages, but they're quite small, so they're quite short. So we'll see how that goes. There's a bookmark in here that I didn't know about. Oh, it's not a bookmark, it's a takeaway menu that I used as a bookmark. Okay, so that's the only book I've had through the door. I have read 2 shorties already. For the half and half shorts, I don't know why I chose this for half and half, because I could have chosen it as a horror one, ripped shorts. I reread I Am Legend by Richard Matheson, which is the second book in the Sci-Fi Masterwork series, which I didn't realise. It's quite interesting that they chose that, which is kind of a vampire horror book, as the second book in a series about science fiction. But I guess all vampire books are technically some sort of science fiction, and this one especially does delve into the biology of vampires, so I guess it makes sense. But the half and half tag means that I also have to watch the movie, and I've tried to watch I Am Legend before and I turned it off because I thought it was rubbish. It must have been around the time the film, the Will Smith film, came out, but I turned it off almost immediately. And I don't think it has a lot to do with the book, but I do like the Omega Man, which is a sort of, and it must have been quite soon after the book came out, Charlton Heston adaptation, which also is not that accurate, but it's got this sort of mad 70s vibe to it, which is very cool. And it's a bit of a bonkers film and a fun watch. So if I can't get through I Am Legend the film again, I'll rewatch Omega Man. I originally read I Am Legend 11 years ago, according to my Goodreads, and I'd forgotten how bleak a book it is. Especially the first half of the book is mostly about a very lonely man, about 9 months after the collapse of society due to vampires, and he's an alcoholic and he kind of is alone. His wife and child are dead. He's had to kill his wife as a vampire, which is grim. And there's sort of the weird science to this book is the vampires are very strange, and there's both living and dead vampires, which is different. I was watching the I also read this because it's kind of fits in with Vamptember, which is a event run by the Bookubus and other people. But I was watching the Bookubus's video on her favourite vampire films and books, and underrated vampire films and books, which was really good. But she kept saying every one of these is like unique, like every vampire book is a bit unique. So it's weird that there's so much variation in this sort of vampire world. And this one is unique in that it has those sort of two types of vampire, and also the main character's kind of immune to vampires, so he will sometimes interact with them a bit, and the vampires will shout at him and stuff outside his house and drive him insane. But part of the novel is he looks into how it's happened. He's sort of a bit of an amateur scientist, so he delves into it and tries to work out what vampirism is. And it's an interesting book, and the ending is very unique as well. I won't obviously talk about it, but when I was sort of halfway through the book, I'm not sure this is a 4-star book for me, because I originally gave it 4 stars because it's so depressing. Like I don't get along that well with really depressing books. More on that later. But the second half really, I found it hard to put down. So it is. I've remained 4-star book for me. I do really enjoy it. I've not read any other of his stuff. So if anyone else has read other Richard Matheson books, let me know down below and I'll check them out. Before that, I read one for the, what prompt was it? It was the bonus prompt. Just a shorty that doesn't fit into any of the other prompts. I'm struggling with the fitting things into the prompts this year, so maybe I'll crowbar a few in, or I will just ignore them partially. But I read The Magician's Nephew by C.S. Lewis, which is chronologically, if that's the right term, the first book in the Chronicles of Narnia. But it was, I think, the 6th book published, so it's a prequel, really. And I used to read The Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe loads when I was a kid. It was like my favourite book. But I've never read any of the rest of the series. I don't think I even knew there was other books in the series when I was younger. And this book explains the kind of origin story of Narnia and the professor that owns the wardrobe in The Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe, which is this chap, Diggory. And I really like the first half of this book, where Diggory and Polly are using these magic rings to visit different worlds. His crazy uncle has got these rings. One sends you to this kind of portal world where you can jump into other worlds, and the other one brings you back home. And they go to one place first, and there's it's like this giant, these medieval giant people that are all frozen, and Diggory wakes the queen up, who later comes into the story in the rest of Narnia. And then the second world they go to is Narnia, and Narnia's being created by Aslan from scratch, so it's kind of the book of Genesis, I suppose. When I was a kid, I did not get any of the religious overtones to Narnia at all, because it's very secular where I live, and I didn't really notice it. So the second half of the book of this I found a bit disappointing, because it was trying to crowbar in not only the creation of Narnia and link it to the next book, but it was also like trying to crowbar in religion. So it kind of stopped quite an interesting story for me. Like, I think if the whole book was Diggory and Polly jumping from world to world and visiting all these strange lands, and then one of them happens to be Narnia, that would have been more interesting. But I do like C.S. Lewis's writing, so I wasn't bored or anything at any time. So I did still enjoy it, and I still might go in and read the rest of the series because I do have them all now. But I think some of them are a bit ropey that I've seen on Goodreads reviews. But you know, it's a shorty. It was well worth a read, and I actually didn't read this copy because I was dog sitting. But it does have the same illustrations as the copy that I had, which were really fun. And yeah, this is very nice. Got a little map on it. But yeah, I may go on and read some more if I get in the mood. Before that, I was reading stuff that was unrelated to Shorty September, and I was just about to go on holiday, so what better book to read than Witches Abroad by Terry Pratchett, the third book in the Witches series, and this one is kind of a play on fairy godmothers. So there's a fairy godmother dies at the beginning, and Margaret becomes the new fairy godmother, and there's all apparently in Discworld. I don't know if this is something that he's taken from fairy tales. There's always two fairy godmothers, a good one and a bad one, and the fairy godmother who dies knows that the new fairy godmother is going to have to deal with the bad one, because she's taken over this town and is forcing everyone to live fairy tales. And she knows that it's going to take more than just the fairy godmother, so she leaves in her will or her note to Margaret, says definitely don't bring Granny Weatherwax and Nanny Og with you when you go to this place, knowing that they would see that and definitely want to come. So it's kind of like a holiday. The first part of the book, they're travelling to this new place and experiencing new foreign cultures and stuff, and Nanny Og thinks she can speak foreign, but she obviously gets everything wrong, and there's quite a lot of jokes about French words and stuff like that in this, which was quite entertaining. And this one has a lot of Nanny Og and what's his name, the cat, Grebo the cat. It has a lot of Nanny Og and Grebo the cat in it, which is very like Nanny Og's my favourite character in the Witches story. So it was a great addition to the Witches. Yeah, you can't really go wrong with them. Like all, I feel like there's no real bad Discworld novels. That they're all either good or very good, and I think this is one of the very good ones. So that was a little pre-holiday book, and before that I read the FOMO Bookclub book, which is run by Jim and Jack, and I saw their live as well on this when I got back from holiday. But their book they chose was A Fine Balance for these last 2 months, and this is a big chunkster. And this is one of the big books that I had on my TBR thing when I did a video about things that have been sat on my TBR for ages, and this has been in my house for a while. For some reason I had this weird notion that I struggle with books set in India, and I think it's partially because of Midnight's Children by Salman Rushdie, which I DNF'd when I was a teenager. And there was another author that I thought was Indian that I read 2 books of, and I didn't like either of them, but it turns out he was not even Indian, so he just sounds like he has an Indian name. But I was completely wrong, because I loved this book. It was brilliant. I can see why people say it's a bit like Charles Dickens, because it has lots of kind of wacky, overblown characters in it, as the side characters. But for me, it's really like Tolstoy, especially Anna Karenina, and also a little bit like A Little Life. Is it A Little Life? The Hanya Yanagihara one. That's really brutal, because this is a brutal book to read in a way, but I think it's also full of joking and happiness and joy, and it's very hard to do that, balance that correctly, and I think he does an incredible job. The book follows really 4 different characters. Manesh, who is a student. It's set in a city that is never named, a city by the sea. And Manesh is going to the city to study refrigeration because his father thinks that's the best thing that you could study, which is kind of smart. And it also follows Dina, who is a tailor of sorts who lives alone in the city, and she rents out her room to Manesh because she's old school friends with his mother. And also it follows 2 tailors from a small village who go to the city to find work. And the first half of the book is filled with just the backstories of every single character, and quite often the parents and grandparents of every single character. So he really delves into the character history. So if you like books about characterization, this is very deep characterization. And the whole first half of the book is basically introduction, and then the second half of the book is the life of the 2 tailors, Imprecation, and Manesh and Dina. And it spans many years, but it's mostly set over Indira Gandhi's emergency years in India in the 70s, and the terribly unjust things that happened to the lower classes. Every character in this has kind of terrible tragedy in their backstory, and then their actual lives together become quite joyous. They have the best times of their lives together, and then, but also terrible stuff's always happening throughout it as well. So it is a bleak book, and obviously a political statement of the injustice of the caste system in India, but it did make me laugh, and I just had a great time reading it. So it's a rare type of book that can do that, I think, and I definitely am going to read more Rohinton mystery books, who strangely has kind of disappeared and has not been seen for 21 years or something, hasn't done a book in 21 years or something. But I've got, I think, Family Matters, I think it's called, his other book, which also sounds very Tolstoy. Tolstoy loved a family book. So I got that for 99p on Kindle or something, so I will check that out eventually. But I think it's probably another big chunkster, so not in September. But yeah, highly recommend it. Very easy prose style to read as well. It's an easy read. So that's my Friday reads. I've managed to do it in under 20 minutes. This is outstanding. But yeah, let me know if you've read A Fine Balance. I think everyone, I've not seen many people who don't like it. Let me know if you've read the rest of the Narnia series. I know some people that I watch have, and if you think it's worth continuing with. I know everyone loves Discworld who's read it, so let me know your favourite Witches book if you've read the whole Witches series, and let me know if you've read any Anne Tyler, and if you think I will like her, and do you like her. Have a good one, BookTube. Bye.